What's your view? What's your view? What's your view? What's your view podcast?
Welcome to the What's Your View podcast with Olu Dolapo. This podcast was created as a space for real people with real life experiences that most people can relate to and learn from. Have a great time listening.
Hi guys, welcome back to my podcast. Today we'll be talking about Limbo. And Limbo is that phase where you're not sure of what you're doing with your life. It's just that phase of uncertainty. And on this episode, I'll be having a conversation with a few friends. And so other voices you hear.
Okay, my name is Dr. Shino, popularly known as the bearded Dr. Shino. Well, I'm a medical doctor, researcher, influencer. I'm also into social media, and I cook and I eat for a living. I guess that summarizes it.
Okay. Hello guys, my name is Dr. Babs. I'm a medical doctor and the founder of Quinta Health, and where we screen women for both breast and cervical cancer, and we deal in female sexual and reproductive health. I'm a public health physician.
Hi everybody, I'm Oluwatoni. I'm a writer. For the purpose of this conversation, I'm a writer.
Okay, thank you. So, on this episode, like I said earlier, we'll be talking about limbo. Limbo is just that phase of uncertainty where you're not sure what is going on in your life and you're not sure what you're doing, right? So, for me, the first time I experienced limbo consciously was after uni, when I wasn't sure of what job to pursue precisely, right? And I had to just jump on the first hanging fruit I had. Right, so for so many people it happens differently and at different time. For some people it might be when you have to choose whether you're supposed to go to art class, commercial class, or science class. And so today we'll all be sharing our experiences in regards to limbo. So who wants to go first?
Okay. Yes, I'm just... I think my first experience must have been after medical school. So I feel there's that phase of one's life where you're not certain what life really has in store for you. So I think mine was like, do I really want to do medicine? Do I really want to explore the world? Because I know medicine was not going to give me all that time. So I think there was like a conflict of interest. Because if I did not do medicine, I don't have any other skill. I spent all my life being engrossed in reading and practicing medical stuff, so I probably did not have any skill I could dive into. So I think that's a way of introduction. That was my own. I had that conflict of interest.
No, okay. So at the points where you figure out that this is what you want to do, what are the pointers to the things you are doing now, or the thing you are doing now, or what you're doing at the moment?
Okay, so I think the first thing I had to come to realization that I'm a medical doctor, and if I'm going to put food on my table, I have to practice medicine. But I think what gave me joy was along the line I found the fact that I could make money out of my hobbies, and I think I explored that, social media, writing, and all that. So passion also had passion for medicine, so I keyed into that passion, and I think I was able to get a sense of belonging on the long run, and and the whole social media thing too, I think also gave me a little bit of fulfillment too.
Okay, so for me, before we started, I said I have always known what I wanted to do. I have always wanted to be a doctor. I've always wanted to be a public health physician. But I think my own limbo came shortly after NYSC, because I served in a place where I wasn't paid a dime. So I only survived on 19,800 NYSC money at the time. And after NYSC, I had to ask myself, what do I really want to do with my life? Do I want to continue with this profession that is not offering me anything, or do I want to diversify? And just like Shino said, I was a doctor, and that was the only thing I knew how to do. Yes, I did a couple of things in school, but then those things that I did in school were not things that I felt at the time I could market. So I just told myself, okay, maybe I should go into pediatrics. Pediatrics wasn't working because I wanted to get into public health, and getting into public health was a little difficult at the time. So I said, okay, maybe I should go into pediatrics. Maybe I should start an organization. Maybe I should do a master's. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. So I got to a point where I was actually stuck in between my options, and traveling out of Nigeria was like top of my list then, because I was angry with the system. Yes, everything like angered me. But then eventually I spoke to a mentor who told me, just do everything together at once, and at the end of the day you would find your way. And that was what happened.
Are you saying the quote unquote, for lack of better words, the cure to limbo is just doing everything your hands find to do at that moment till you'll be able to find a grip on one thing?
Okay, I'm not saying it would work for everybody, but at the time I had the opportunity to be able to pursue residency, pursue a master's, work, and also build my organization. And I did everything. So when people ask me, how did I get here now? It looked like something that was planned. I knew that my end point at the end of the day was going to be public health, but how to get into public health was the whole issue. So doing a master's in public health was trying to get to public health. Building my organization was trying to get into public health. Starting a residency training program was getting into it. So I started my master's. At the time when I was finishing master's, I got a job for residency training, and in the process, I was building my organization. So everything now came together, and it's looking like, I planned everything towards this time. But I feel that if you are at a limbo, you shouldn't stop. Stopping would just halt you, will ground you totally. I think you should just continue to do things, but you should have a clear destination in mind. A lot of people don't actually have a clear destination in mind. But then I think one of the things that you should do before setting out is to have a clear destination in mind. And if you don't have a clear destination in mind, you can have an idea of where you are going to, and that could help you.
I'm sorry to disappoint you all, but yes, I was also a doctor. I'm sure you're tired of hearing it by now. Anyways, I think my limbo must have started pretty early, because while I was in medical school, I was probably in limbo because I knew that I wasn't really interested in medicine. But what saved me in med school was that there were a lot of extracurriculars that got me busy. So I was actually able to use my skills at the time to do different things. So planning class programs, writing. I started my blog when I was in like 500 level. I learned how to sew during one strike. So I learned fashion designing while I was in medical school. And then I was really into music, so like concerts, all of that. So let's just say that I was really busy doing all kinds of things. But I had never really given a thought to what I really wanted to do, like with my life. And when I graduated, I also felt like I should have been in a relationship at that time when I graduated, and I wasn't. So it really just felt like I didn't really know what was next. But of course, the good thing about medicine is that it has a way of giving you steps in front of you. You graduate, you go for house job. After house job, you go and serve. After service, you should be looking for a job as a medical officer, and you should be trying to get into residency. It's pretty cut and dried for people who want to toe that path. It's pretty straightforward. So I took that path up to a point, and then I realized sometime during house job that I had never actually given a thought to what I wanted to do. And here I was worried about not being in a relationship and not being married. And then it was like I woke up, that was my wake-up call, like, hello, you're worried about the wrong thing, And basically from that point on, I was probably in limbo for a long time. I probably still am at a level now, because I feel like I'm not yet where I'm actually going. But it's been a journey of finding that in the last 5 years, to be honest, for me. So maybe my understanding of limbo is pretty different. So, but yeah, I feel much clearer than I was 5 years ago, definitely. But I don't feel like I've found it. But I feel like I'm close. So I think I can say that I've been in limbo for quite a while. And that's probably, for me, I feel like it's because I also had so many things I was good at, or that I'm still good at. So it gives you so many options, and so many options can be equal to no option sometimes. So I think, let me just stop there.
So I have about 3 scenarios here that we're going to talk about. So the first scenario is while I was in school, I've always wanted to be a lecturer in the university. I can even say God said I was going to be a lecturer, right? But after uni, my parents couldn't fund my master's studies, so I had to become a social media manager. And I wasn't sure if that's what I really want for myself. What do you think I should do?
Well, I think that's pretty straightforward. The only problem here appears to be money. That's a pretty straightforward problem. Because then what that means is do whatever you can do right now to make the money you need to go for masters. Plus, that's what you cannot. If you need to sell shit. No, seriously. Like, if you need to do 2 things or 3 things. Besides, I don't know too many people who are doing just one thing anymore. So if you need to do 2 or 3 things, if you are doing social media management, look for remote positions that give you a chance to work 2 jobs. And then there's scholarships. You can apply for scholarships. As much as people make it sound like people don't get those scholarships, people are actually getting scholarships to study and do their masters. So I think also chase your scholarships on the side, or also immerse yourself, because scholarships require that you have done some pretty meaningful things. Those are the things that make your application stand out. So you can spend the time you are using to look for money to also involve yourself in things that will look very good on a scholarship application, for whatever that may look like for your own industry, and then go for it.
Well, my own take would be, firstly, people make a lot of money from social media management. So I think that to correct that, or maybe let me ask you, what's your idea of how much an average social media manager makes? Okay, I think people make more than that, at least. So that
Social media
manager.
they don't make so much.
Oh, okay. All right. So, okay, yeah. So back to that scenario, I feel what that person would have done, well, like Dr. Tony said, is do everything your hands find it to do, because it's pretty much sad. Like a country like Nigeria, some people have this talent and all that, but because of situations and all that limits their dream. It's different abroad, because you see people that they can play football, and from that somehow they're able to, you understand, that kind of thing. So, well, I just think my take will just be the same thing. It's just like it.
Okay, I think mine will be a little different. I have a divergent opinion. So no matter where God places you, there's no error in God's placement for you. So if God is putting you in the social media space right now, then there's a reason why He wants you to be in that space, probably to learn something that is going to catapult you to the next level. So when I served in a place where I was being paid just 19,800 naira, I had the opportunity to work with the wife of the governor of the state at the time, who has an NGO, and that was my learning phase. I learned how to run an NGO, how to do cervical cancer screening, how to do breast cancer screening, and at the end of the day, that's currently the highlight of my profession. If I had grumbled all through in during the NYSC phase, and I did not focus on what I was learning at that time, then I would have missed what God had for me at that particular point in time. So to get to where you are going to go to, there are steps, there are places where you would reach, and every place you reach in life definitely has a meaning, has an import to the final destination. So if you are doing social media management right now, there's probably something that God wants you to learn from social media management, and that probably could even be what would take you to that lecturing phase. And sometimes we read in parts and we understand in parts. Sometimes God is telling you are going to be a lecturer. What if God is telling you are going to be a lecturer of social media something? You probably start doing research on social media and so many other things. So I feel you should not feel bad about your current state right now. You should just go ahead and learn what God wants you to learn for that phase.
Thank you. So the next one says, my husband of 5 years has not been emotionally present in the relationship, and we've seen therapists and he's not yielding, and I'm done with the marriage. I'm in a state of limbo. What would you suggest?
Why did everybody? Why did it look like everybody was like, yeah, this one is for Dr. Tony? Well, I think that, of course, one of the most important things to have is your own personal, internal process of making decisions. That regardless of whatever is happening on the outside, you know how you come to decisions, you know how you decide what next you want to do. I think that that's important here because really nobody can answer this question for you. You are the one that knows what is important to you about being in a marriage, and you're the one that can tell how you will feel if you walk out of it. Now, of course, this is not to say that this phase you are in will not pass. I mean, it might pass. It might take a long time. 5 years is already a long time, in my opinion, but it might take longer. So really, it's not about, sadly, it's not even about what your husband is doing. It's really about you deciding, because personally, this marriage matters to me. I want to stick it out. I want to make it work. Then that may be the way you decide, okay, so we'll just stick it out and see. And I know people who have come up with all kinds of coping mechanisms to stay in their marriage. Also, if you're the kind of person that knows that it's nothing to me, if this is not working, then to me it's no longer a marriage. So what are we now doing? That may be how you make your decisions. But what I'm just saying is, at the end of the day, it's not a decision that can be made for you. You will still have to decide, does this thing look like it will still work for me if I stick around much longer? Or should I just leave because this is how I feel? I feel like I'm wasting my time. Because you also don't have any influence on the other person. That's the truth. And this is something that people do a lot, like think that you don't have that much control over someone just because you love them. And you have to wait it out. It's when they are ready that they are ready. So you need to ask yourself, does this contravene my beliefs? If you are struggling with leaving the marriage or not leaving the marriage, you are not struggling with your husband. Your struggle is still with yourself. And so it is still an internal decision that you have to make. If you come to the point where you feel, I know someone who got to the point where she felt a release to get a divorce, that I have done everything. I still listened to someone recently who said what she did was that she worked on herself. She did everything she could do possibly to improve the marriage, and she gave it a time frame. That if I do everything I literally can do, and it now doesn't work, then I know that it's over for real. And she said that was what she did. So I'm not pushing you in any direction. If you're a Christian, your conflict is probably much about what to do in this kind of situation. But the truth is, it's still eventually between you and God, basically.
Okay, so I'm not particularly a relationship expert, and one thing I would like to say to the person is that your conviction about the matter is more important than what any other person is going to say to you. My religion, Christianity, does not permit a divorce. But then if your mental health, if you see that this marriage is going to kill you, you can actually separate. And that means if you are following the Christian faith to the letter, that means you are getting out of the marriage and you are not going to marry somebody else until either partner dies or something. So, but then I have discovered that a lot of people get married these days with because of the pressure from outside and because of, I need to get married. And sometimes this is what it brings to the table. A lot of people now get in, and this whole social media craze of, I am married, and they show us only the sweet parts on the social media. A lot of people don't know that marriage is the coming together of two different people entirely, and then there's going to be a lot of friction. It's not always going to be the butterflies in the belly is going to die at a particular point in time, and there is more to sustain the marriage than the butterfly in the belly. So considering what she has said, the decision is hers to make. Whatever anybody says is quite inconsequential to her decision at the end of the day.
Okay. Mine is going to be a little bit controversial, but it's still in line. First is just, I totally agree with what they both said. I think Nigerians need to normalize marriage therapy. I think last week I was in your house where we were watching that Addiction, or I can't remember the title of the movie. Apparently this lady had this sexual, she was like a nymphomaniac. She was really having a lot of sex, and she was like telling the husband, let's just see a therapist. And they were like, no, you want us to see those cycles, you understand? The lady had sexual problems, but she wanted to open up to the husband and let's just see a therapist. I need help. Until somehow, well, the whole thing got messy. She had an accident. It was until when she was almost on the deathbed, and the love was rekindled and blah, blah, blah. Hollywood story. That's one. So I think people should normalize marriage therapy, because I feel there are times like marriages will hit rocky grounds and you need to see a specialist. It's a thing. Yeah, another thing again I feel is like social media is people should not base their reality on social media. Now let's take a look about what has happened in the last 3 months. Basketball broke up yesterday. Ireti Doyle broke up. P Square, all those things. People are always, interested in the breakups, but the social media does not celebrate those 30, 40 years of marriages. That you won't see people appreciating those ones you get. And another thing, funny thing, something happened. Yesterday, people were attacking me. Lori Harvey, she's dated about nine guys, and ladies were like, this girl is my role model, my queen I stand. How did we get to that point where moving serially to different partners is like a goal? How do you want that kind of person to stay in a relationship? Because these are the mindset we need to change. Because I said something about that and ladies were attacking. I was like, I think, what did I say? I just paraphrased it. Like, I was saying something like, I'm wondering how we've gotten to a low period, like the period where people will rather emulate people like Lori Harvey, who is known for having serial strings of relationships, rather than celebrate and learn from marriages that have stood the test. People got angry with that. Yes, she's a queen. I'm like, sometimes you don't. When you see some people's IQs, you just don't engage them. I cannot stoop low, but these are issues, because imagine a lady that has that kind of, I'm a Lori Harvey standard. This is kind of Lori Harvey's life. That kind of person, when her marriage hits the low, she'll just, you understand. So I feel it's another thing that we should at least think about in our generation, because every marriage you have is low. I think people should normalize marriage. I don't know if it's marriage therapists or marriage counselors, just to, iron out some things is totally normal. Thank you. I'm not married, by the way, but I'm just giving hot take on marriage.
Okay, thank you. And so the next one says, this is my cousin's third job, 2 years after NYSC. And as for me, I've been having issues with my boss and my company, and I've not been promoted for 3 years. And I really need a new job. I think I'm in a state of limbo. What should I do? One, the person made reference to a cousin who has changed job like more than twice in the span of like 2 years after NYSC. And she's having issue with her job. She hasn't been promoted and there's no salary increase for years. And she thinks she's in a state of limbo. What should she do?
Well, I think there are so many things at play here. The first thing is, this job that you're at, is that where you want to be? Is it a place that is building up to what you want to do? So since we don't have an explanation, it's going to be difficult to give like a very effective answer, because you need to figure out what if the reason you are having a problem with this job is fundamentally because this isn't really what you want to even be doing. That's the first thing. The second thing is, like they always say in corporate world, it's not the number of years you've stayed in a company that guarantees a promotion. It's how indispensable you make yourself. So I also think that people need to work on that mindset that makes them feel like they deserve a promotion because they've been here for years. If there's someone else that can do the job better than you, they will promote that person over you, even if you have been there for 10 years. So you need to validate, continuously upskill to validate your position anywhere you are at. If not, the economy is even too bad for anybody to be dashing you extra money and promotion if they can't see that you're actually contributing at that level. So I would say that person should also consider that aspect. Am I really that invaluable to these people? Or have I just been doing the barest minimum? I just come and I do my job and I go. They will definitely promote someone else over you. That's the first thing. And it's important to look at that, because if you don't look at that, when you get to the next job, this next job that looks like the be-all and end-all, that looks like, that's the goal, you are going to have to deal with this same situation. You are going to also, you don't know where you're going to meet there, whether they are going to be the kind of people that promote you for no reason at all. Or so whatever you are doing now is still going to be the thing that will carry you through that next job. So you need to ask yourself whether your own, having problems with your boss, all those things, you need to ask yourself why you're having those issues. It's important to deal with the issues aside from just, my boss is a bad person. The things that they're complaining about, are they really things that you need to work on? Because if you get to the next job, I can assure you, it's very rare to get to that job where you feel like, oh my God, everything is just perfect. There will always be an issue with something or someone.
So, what about from a perspective of this person is doing well and maybe this is what the person really wants?
But they are being overlooked. If you are being overlooked, you need to decide what you want to do with your life. If you are a Christian and it matters to you, pray about it and know what God wants you to do about it. That's very key if you're a Christian. And if you need to move forward, start looking for a job. If you're not getting a job, you need to ask yourself why. Do you get? It's kind of, yes, sometimes the market is just not favorable. It's not because there's anything wrong with you as a candidate. But you also need to keep checking, okay, what did I get wrong here? What did I get wrong here? So that you keep strengthening your applications with, the next one. And then you keep specifying, okay, what do I want to specialize in? What is that thing that... Because sometimes when we are coming from one job, we're coming from a job where we have done 20 things. At least that has happened to me before. And then in getting the next job, I had to really be sure of, okay, what do I really want to apply for? What's the role here? Because I've done all these many things. So and when you zero in on that role, then you need to start studying up for that role. And you need to throw yourself into the role. And just believe that you also need to know that time and chance is also a part of it. You will get it eventually, even if you don't get it now. I know it's not always easy to hear that, but sometimes it just happens and you just have to wait. But I think that if you are able to look at all the circumstances surrounding you, you can figure out how to move forward. And yes, some people get lucky, quote and unquote. They never seem to really stay without having a job. It happens, but you can't base your life on that. You just follow your own journey. Some people just have a way of, I don't know, it may just be a grace that God has put on them that they are able to just go from one job to the next. I want to believe that happens to me. I don't really look for work.
Because it's not like they're being promoted. The salary difference might not be a lot.
I feel like it depends on what your goal is. For instance, the first two companies you moved from might not have been because of salary. It might have been because you discovered experience. It might have also been because you discovered that what they do here is not really aligning with what I do. So I feel like, for instance, I started a job recently and I feel like for the first time, I might actually want to stay longer than a year. And I've never really had that interest in staying anywhere longer than a year that I have worked before now, because from the first day I entered, I knew that I was just doing it because I needed to work. I was not really aligned with the goal of the companies I worked with. It was just, okay, let's just get the experience. Let's just see what they do here. Let me not be idle. Do you get? So sometimes people moving into 3-4 jobs is not just because of that. It's also because they are chatting. They're sort of zeroing in little by little with every place they work. They're zeroing in on what they really want to do. And when they find a place where everything aligns, then they can suddenly be there for 10 years. Do you get? So that's what I think.
Okay, so I personally don't compare myself to other people. There's a reason why every one of us have like a different DNA. And when I mean DNA, our genetics differ. So if you do the DNA of 1,000 people, like there's going to be a difference in it. And God did not make me this unique to compare myself to other people. So when you begin to compare yourself to other people, that is a very huge recipe to stunting your growth and rubbishing your uniqueness. And then one thing I've discovered again with a lot of young people is that you do not develop yourself and you want to get more. I'm not saying this person did not develop his or herself, but I'm saying that a lot of times when people get overlooked for promotion, it's probably because they did not develop themselves. It's because probably they did not bring something important to the table. I saw a series when I was in medical school, and somehow I'm seeing it again. Suits. There's this guy in that series called Mike Ross. He wasn't even a lawyer, but he got a lot of promotion that even lawyers in the organization did not get. Why? This guy was indispensable, like Tony said, and there was no case that was brought into the high-profile cases that was brought into the organization that he did not have an input in. And people who were on the same level with him did not even get an office when he got an office, when they made him a partner, and he got so many other things. So a lot of the times, we just feel that they should give us a promotion. No, you are not. What have you done to develop yourself? Have you taken extra courses? Have you fine-tuned your skills in the organization? So getting promotion does not just come. Nobody will just wake up and say, I think the only place where they just promote you for promoting sake is in the civil service. That's the only place. But if it is a private organization, you have to bring something to the table. You have to be able to do some things that they will make them see you in that light. Some people
do something that affects the bottom line.
Yes, not just something. Just
it doesn't affect the bottom line. It doesn't bring more business. You get it doesn't. It looks like it's not really as bad. And that's what I'm learning from like watching all these CEOs. If they're going to take you seriously, you have to be someone that brings something that impacts their bottom line, that impacts the amount of profit they made in that quarter or something.
Or brings like a business changing decision. And a lot of people do stuffs, but they don't package themselves. Yeah. Like when I talk about packaging, I'm not saying that you don't do something and you claim that you are doing it. But sometimes people do stuffs and they don't package themselves. I've been handling Quinta Health for 5 years, and I was not putting the stuff I was doing on social media. I was keeping my pictures on my laptop. And my friend called me one day and said, if I have done half of what you have done with Quinta Health, I would have blown. Because all these pictures that are on your laptop, nobody's going to come and open your laptop to see them. So why don't you start putting them out? And the year I began to put stuff out on social media, began to talk to people, I saw how there was an exponential increase. So you need to be able to package yourself, even in that your organization. And some people make their bosses look down on them. Like, I'm not saying you should be proud or you should shout at your boss or you should fight with your boss, but there are some things that they'll bring to your doorstep and you don't accept, you don't take. If you don't take those kind of things, the first time they bring it to you, they will place you highly. But then anything goes for some people. And when anything goes for you, they just bring anything to your doorstep, and at the end of the day, you'll be older in that organization. And I don't know who has seen Becoming Abby here. Yeah, Abby came into the organization later, and then she was made the boss of the people she met in the organization. So it's not about being in an organization, it's about what you bring to the table and how you present yourself.
Okay, just to add to that, I'll just say that if you're working for someone, your greatest motivation must be intrinsic, because as long as someone is paying you, you will never be satisfied, let's be honest. Only the CEO probably will be satisfied because you're paying yourself. And I feel, I like to always make references to social media. A lot of people, again, they allow things on social media to get to them. I mean, somewhere like Twitter, it's a place that they are always having unrealistic. A girl can come and say, I cannot date any man that makes 500k per month, but the girl is making 100k per month. I mean, me as a man too, I would like, I cannot date you if you make less than, I mean, that's it. You understand? So, why will I want to date you if you're making less than that, but you feel you want to date? It's the kind of thing. Imagine a guy that is maybe struggling, gets to see some lady saying, oh, that's true, all these guys, I can't. If you're not someone that, has a progressive thinking, those kind of petty things can actually it gets to people. You understand? So I would say that a lot of intrinsic motivation is needed, and also try and find fulfillment in wherever you are, and your mental health too is very important. If you're at a job where you're always having anxiety, you're not happy, I wouldn't say just quit, because if I say quit, you have to do something that will put food on your table.
I think a lot of people are actually in that phase where they are going through a lot in their like where they're working at the moment, right, mentally, and maybe they're like, I don't want to use the word breadwinner, but they're like the major subjects in their family, and they have to like play a major role, right? And they actually cannot just quit their job, and at the same time they're on the lookout for other jobs, and it's not coming.
Well, just keep because yes, you need to survive. Money, at Maslow's theory, you need to just food. Money is important. You understand? Because we are not talking about someone that wants to be a Yahoo person. You understand? Those are the only people that this advice would not apply to. But someone that is really working, there will always be terrible bosses. There will always be bad bosses. You cannot. The world is not a utopian place. You will not always find it so easy, because dealing with people is also part of managerial skills. You are not only handling resources, you also have to know how to handle people, human beings also. So it's part of it. So you just have to know how to work with difficult people. And if you're in that kind of state, you also have to try and be on the lookout for better offers and all that, so that
people are actually looking for better jobs, but then they are not actually looking for the jobs. Now, you stay, for instance, in a place and you say you are looking for opportunities. Now, I'm beginning to learn something from Shino these days. Now, we go out and he reaches out to people and gets their numbers and tells them, oh, this is what I do, what do you do, and have conversations with them. But then the free time you have, I'm going to sub some people. Now, the free time you have, you're inside your house. You don't go out, you don't meet people, you don't have conversations. And that free time that you have to have conversations with people, you are there tightening your face as though, like, people have gotten jobs in the most unexpected places. Like, the first time I worked with Aproko Doctor, for instance, now, it was through a friend that I was talking to. We were just having a normal conversation, and the opportunity came to get an organization to work with Aproko Doctor, and then she insisted that I was going to be the one to do the job. And at a point, she was like, the people in the team were asking her that, wait, what's up? Where did you know this guy from? And she was like, no, I just met him on Twitter. The first time I actually saw this person was at the outreach that we did. So I never met this person before. But you don't interact with people, you don't socialize, and you expect to get jobs. Referrals actually get people more jobs than even submitting your CVs. So when people refer you and say, oh, I know this guy, I know this person, he does well. Shina has gotten us some funding in Quinta Health, and it is not because of me. Most of those people that gave us the funding did not know me, they know him. But he told them, oh, I can vouch for this person. This person does excellent jobs. And that is how most of our partners that we are working with, we've gotten them. So you can't expect that you want to get a good job or you want to change a job and then you are putting yourself inside your house.
Yeah,
put yourself out there.
Era of social media.
Yes.
Also, I think take opportunities. I think that we don't take enough opportunities. Take opportunities, do stuff, even the things that you won't get paid for. Mm-hmm. Get involved with things that are happening in your church, things that are happening in your community. Just get involved also, do stuff. So, for instance, I'm probably one of the gang of people that don't really go out. But nonetheless, the opportunities come and meet me in my house. But the reason is that I do engage. I may not leave my house, but I take opportunities.
You can't say that. I think you still engage more. Yes, even people that go out, you can't say that.
But I don't go out.
No, you can't say that you don't go out, because when you were probably in medical school, not probably, when you were in medical school and you were doing house job, you have built a network of people. So if you need somebody to do something for you in any place now, you know people that you can call.
And people can easily call.
Yes.
Because they know the things you can do.
But so that's the reason why I said take opportunities, because I mean, I've left the medical field. There's not so much of what I do that has to do with medical people anymore, to be honest.
But when you were in the medical field, people knew that you could do a lot of things. I knew that you could write. I knew that you could sing. You had some people skills. How many albums have you
So I'm not releasing albums. I'm just saying that the key is to look out for opportunities.
You know more people than I do.
The reason I know more people is because it's not really because I go out. It's because I just...
Communities you were had a lot of people in it. So.
Well, that's one. And then at some of my friends, I always tell people that another thing you must realize is that as you keep coming up, understand that your friends are coming up too. So one day they are also going to be in those big positions. There are a couple of projects that I'm on now that are connected to some governments, and it is because I have a friend that works there. And it's not because it's not even because I go out. It's just that they've always been my friends, but they are also advancing in their careers. So they're advancing to the places where they can also recommend you at those top places, and that one is natural. You can't really influence it, but the thing is, take opportunities. A lot of the jobs I've gotten, I've done this for someone, so they recommend me. The job I just took now is because of someone I worked with last year, that I just worked with and I moved on.
And then you give some people opportunities and they mess it up. Like you are in a community, for instance, now you give somebody a job to do, and the person now messes up that job. Like you probably give somebody something to do for you now, the person messes it up. You would not get referrals, or you are nonchalant about the things that you do. There's nobody that I have worked for. There's nobody that I've worked for that will tell you that, this guy did not do the job well. Because for every job that I do for somebody, I do it like that is the last time I'm going to work for the person. And I want to leave a lasting impression in the heart of that person. But sometimes people do mediocre jobs and they want people to refer them. Nobody is going to refer you if you are doing a job for somebody half-heartedly. So a lot of people need to learn. And Tony touched on doing free jobs. For the first 3 years in Quinta Health, I was doing pro bono jobs.
I was the queen of free jobs. I wrote for plenty people for free.
For the first 3 years. 3 free jobs. It was a day one of my ogas that I looked up to in breast and cervical cancer screening said, "Tunde, you have paid your dues in free jobs. Can you now start doing jobs that will bring money? Because all these your volunteers that are working for you will stop at the end of the day when they don't benefit anything from the organization. You can do free job for the rest of your life, but these people that you are working for you, will they continue to do free jobs for you? No." So, but that did not actually deter me from doing some level of free jobs for people. But you say young people today, they come to say, I want to volunteer for your organization. And the first thing they're asking you is, how much will you pay me? How much am I paying myself in the first place? So, but I'm not saying that people should not do paid volunteer jobs. But I'm saying that there's a time in your life to build your portfolio. You need to do some free jobs. You need to do some. And when you do those free jobs, you put it out there. I was helping a young person develop his CV one time, and he said, "I do not have any job experience." And I told him, Kobis in school is job experience. All those outreaches that you go for, that you plan for CMDA, is actually a job experience. So there are so many things that you do that looks like it is not a job experience, but it is job experience. All those CMDA outreaches that we go for, all those things. There are so many things that you do. And these days, people will come and meet me and say, come and write referrals for me, volunteering, and you never volunteered for me in the first place. So I tell them, no, I'm not going to write. Yes, they do it. I'll tell them, I'm not going to write for you because you never volunteered for me. You don't have to go to the field for an organization. Ordinary writing for them, ordinary doing a research for them.
I did free jobs for the ones that are giving me my highest paying clients right now.
So you understand? So a lot of people, you do.
And then, you can't discount the place of patience. I think we also need to, just quickly touch on that. The truth is that sometimes it's just not coming, and it's just not coming, and it's not because you are doing anything. It's just that's just the phase that's just the season you are in, and if you can just wait it out, you will get something good at the end of the day. Just the only thing is, don't stop developing it and ask for feedback. I think that sometimes too, we assume that we're doing a great job, and because we're not getting feedback, we're not allowing people to actually critique us and say what you're doing is good, or can you work on it more. So you actually think you're doing your best, and so you are frustrated. But if you get enough feedback, then you can know if am I really doing my best, or I'm just the one who thinks that this is the best I can do. So I think patience, sometimes you will just need to wait it out. It's just part of life.
And for that person who has spent 3 years in that job, I think you should move.
Yes, we did not say the person should move. Please move. Move.
I think you should move right now. Please, I think you should move. You have already gathered enough experience in that place, and I think you have overstayed your welcome. I think you should move.
Okay, thank you guys. So finally, I was about to say that, is there like a word of like last statement for, in regards to Limbo?
All right. Thank you for this podcast. So my final word would be, everyone is going to will be once in a while in a state of limbo. I feel it's part of life. And don't be so hard and harsh on yourself. What you just need to do is have the right coping mechanism, because it's a phase of life. And also, always, I usually say, always talk to people, especially when you're in that phase, so you don't tip into a period of sadness and depression, because these things are very real. And as we've said today, launch out, market yourself, package yourself very well. And I think that would be the words from me. Thank you.
Okay.
So I actually think that my final words on this has been captured in everything that we have said. But then I would want to say that people should understand that in this life there is a process. And because we're in a fast-paced generation, people want to skip their process. Don't skip your process. Join communities, and whatever your hand finds to do it well.
Okay, I think the final words for me would be, when you're in limbo, it's sending you a message. Pay attention. Don't just spend the whole time complaining and just being frustrated. Pay attention to the message that this season is sending to you. One of the first messages which I mentioned for me was that I was so worried about getting married or getting into a relationship that it never dawned on me that I didn't actually know what I wanted to do with my life. And limbo was one of the things that sent me that message effectively and made me to start actually thinking, okay, so what do we do now? It took me another 3 years to figure out, okay, I can do this, what can I not do, and all of that. So I would just say it's a message, and not everybody who wanders is lost. The fact that you are figuring it out doesn't mean you are lost. You are just finding your way. That's what it is. So hang in there. Things will become clearer, and it always works out. It will get clearer. Just take the step in front of you, one step after another. What looks like you should do now, just take that step again. And the next 2-3 years, you just find out that you're kind of where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, so we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you guys for being a major part of this episode, and I look forward to having you on this some other time.
We clap.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to What's Your View with Olu Dolapo. Trust you had a great time listening. Feel free to share, like, and leave a comment. You could also reach out to us on Instagram at What's Your View with _Olu Dolapo. Thank you once again for listening.